Today, we're going to tackle a business puzzle that honestly should be impossible. How on earth can a company be the absolute cheapest in its industry and at the same time be the most profitable?
I mean, think about it. It's the classic trade-off, right? You either slash your prices to win customers or you keep your prices high to make a healthy profit. You have to pick one. But what if a company just didn't? What if they somehow managed to do both?
Well, that is the incredible story of Thyrocare. It's about how one medical testing company with a completely radical way of thinking just turned the entire Indian diagnostic industry completely upside down.
Now, to really get how they pulled this off, we have to wind the clock back a bit and look at the market they were about to walk into.
Okay, so picture this. It's the mid-1990s in India. The medical testing market is, well, a total mess. You've got over 100,000 tiny independent labs all over the place. There's almost no focus on quality or accuracy, and frankly, patients don't really know the difference. So these labs can charge pretty high prices, and the whole system is built around what's called sick care, meaning you only get a test after you're already sick.
And get this, even 2 decades later, the market was still overwhelmingly dominated by these small, unorganized labs, a whopping 85%. This wasn't just a problem, it was a massive, glaring opportunity just waiting for someone to come along.
And the person who saw that opportunity had a personal philosophy that would basically become the company's entire DNA.
This is Thyrocare's founder, Swami Velumani. He grew up in extreme poverty, the son of a landless farmer, and he watched his mom support the whole family by selling milk from just 2 buffaloes. That experience burned a deep personal philosophy of frugality into him, and he took it with him everywhere.
And this wasn't just some nice quote for a presentation. He built his entire company on it. Rule number 1, Thyrocare would be debt-free, period. Rule number 2, the company would have a lean, simple structure, no bloated management. And rule 3, the big one, an absolute relentless obsession with driving down costs.
His own journey is just wow. From having nothing, he worked his way up to become a chemist, then a scientist at one of India's most prestigious research centers. Then, in 1996, he did something no one could believe. He quit that safe, secure government job to chase an idea that pretty much everyone told him was crazy.
So how did this personal philosophy of being frugal actually become a disruptive business model? All right, let's open up the Thyrocare playbook.
Velumani had this absolutely brilliant analogy for his strategy. He said, look, the diagnostics business has 2 parts. You've got the restaurant, which deals with the customers, and you've got the kitchen, which actually makes the food. He decided Thyrocare would only be the kitchen.
So let's break that down. The upstream part, the restaurant, is all about collecting the blood samples from patients. It's customer-facing, you need tons of locations, it's complicated. The downstream part, the kitchen, is the high-tech lab work of actually processing those samples. While all his competitors were trying to do both, Thyrocare made a radical decision to focus only on the downstream. And this is the key. By unbundling that value chain, they created a cost advantage that was structurally impossible for anyone else to copy.
And this visual just shows it perfectly. On the left, you see the competitor's model, this huge, complex, expensive web of hundreds of labs and collection centers. Then on the right, you have Thyrocare's model, just radically simple. Every single sample flows to one massive central processing lab.
So here are the big differences, side by side. Competitors were decentralized, trying to do the whole value chain, and focused on sick care for people who are already in the hospital. Thyrocare was centralized, focused only on processing, and this was genius. They targeted the wellness market. They went after preventative tests for healthy people, a market nobody was really serving, which meant lots of repeat customers.
And this right here, this is the secret weapon that makes the whole thing work. Massive economies of scale. What this graph basically shows is that for these kinds of tests, the more you do, the cheaper each individual test becomes. So by funneling millions of samples from all over the country into one single super lab, Thyrocare drove its cost per test down to a level that its competitors could only dream of.
So, this all sounds really clever in theory, but did this totally counterintuitive strategy actually pay off? Well, let's look at the numbers.
Okay, here's the punchline. In 2017, Thyrocare had an EBITDA margin of 40%. Now, that's a fancy business term, but it basically means that for every dollar they made, 40 cents was pure profit before things like taxes. Think about that. They were the cheapest option for customers, and yet, by a huge margin, the most profitable company in the entire industry. They had solved the puzzle.
This table just shows you exactly how they did it. Look at the number of labs. Thyrocare, just 7. Their competitors, hundreds. But the last row, that tells the real story. Samples per lab. Thyrocare processed around 2 million samples in each of its labs. Its competitors were processing just a tiny fraction of that. This is hyper-efficiency on a scale the industry had literally never seen before.
So, after all that disruption, where does a company like this go from here? And maybe more importantly, can that advantage actually last?
Well, the road ahead is definitely not simple. Competitors are, of course, scrambling to copy their model. You've got new government regulations and price controls popping up, and Thyrocare itself is facing big questions, like should they diversify into new things like PET CT scans or even expand outside of India? The story is definitely not over.
Which brings us to the final and most critical question. This whole incredible success story was built on a unique model that grew directly out of one man's very personal philosophy of frugality. Can something so unique, so deeply personal, really be defended forever? Or will the competition eventually figure it out and catch up? That's the question that's going to define the entire next chapter for Thyrocare.